The news source I Hate the Media recently put out a post giving 10 quotes by Che Guevara the left would rather not talk about. Now, being left, I thought, let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's investigate these quotes. Crazy with fury, I will stain my rifle red while slaughtering any enemy that falls into my hands. My nostrils dilate while savoring the acrid odor of gunpowder and blood. With the deaths of my enemies, I prepare my being for the sacred fight and join the triumphant proletariat with a bestial howl. This quote actually comes from his personal diaries. And so what? While riding a combat high, he wrote stuff like this. And there's actually much worse stuff that is coming out of the mouths of imperialism, particularly the United States. I don't know what it is that this quote is supposed to reveal. It seems to reveal that he was a soldier, which he was. 2. Blind hate against the enemy creates a forced impulse that cracks the boundaries of natural human limitations, transforming the soldier in an effective, selective, and cold killing machine. A people without hate cannot triumph against the adversary. So, pretty much the same thing. Although, interestingly, the same kind of talk comes out of imperialism, out of US soldiers as well. Che Guevara fought to liberate Cuba from a dictator. The United States slaughtered 3 million people in Iraq and Afghanistan. There's a bit of a difference. 3. Send men to the firing squad. Judicial proof is unnecessary. These procedures are an archaic bourgeois detail. This is a revolution. This quote is shown to have been faked. Che Guevara never said this, and there's no source for him actually saying it. There is proof of that in the description. A revolutionary must become a cold killing machine motivated by pure hate. They must create the pedagogy of the wall. This is the second part to the previous quote, which is also fake. I am not a Christ or a philanthropist, old lady. I am the contrary of a Christ. I fight for the things I believe in, with all the weapons at my disposal, and try to leave the other man dead so that I don't get nailed to a cross or any other place. So basically, Che Guevara is not a weak, useless liberal. This is a good thing. This is something that we on the left would like to talk about. If any person has a good word for the previous government, that is good enough for me to have him shot. This is hyperbole. In fact, the people that were executed, a lot of them were Batista's henchmen. In fact, a common punishment under Batista's regime for people in this situation was to have their testicles cut off and shoved in their mouth. That's pretty goddamn sick. And one of those people that were shot without trial was actually a jailer who tended to use red-hot pokers and shove them in the vaginas of women who supported the revolution. No, seriously, to hell with these people, they deserve to be shot. Che wanted the result of the Cuban Missile Crisis to be an atomic war. What we affirm is that we must proceed along the path of liberation, even if it costs us millions of atomic victims. Context. Actually, Che Guevara didn't want the invasion of Cuba at all. In fact, the statement was that if they were invaded, they would use nuclear weapons against the United States. Now, we obviously know this did not happen. Che Guevara did want that retaliatory action for the invasion. However, Castro thought otherwise and thought that it shouldn't happen at all, and this may or may not have led to a split between the two. Essentially, the United States owes its non-nuked ass to Fidel Castro's level-headedness. Although, interestingly, what this article actually leaves out is the fact that the United States was unlawfully invading the nation of Cuba, and that it was the instigator of hostilities, and it was responsible for the entire situation to begin with. In fact, if Christ himself stood in my way, I, like Nietzsche, would not hesitate to squash him like a worm. Good. Me too. Let me say, at the risk of seeming ridiculous, that the true revolutionary is guided by great feelings of love. Ooh, take that, left. It's a sad thing not to have friends, but it's even sadder not to have enemies. Context. What he means is that if you're not challenging the system, you're not generating enemies. If you have no enemies, then you must not actually be challenging anything. I could actually do the same thing with Winston Churchill and use his quote where he says, if people are pissed off at you, then you must be doing something right. I could do the exact same thing. What this article should have been entitled was, Che Guevara quotes, liberals don't want to talk about, because those of us on the radical left agree with these statements. There's nothing in here that we're ashamed of or don't want people to know. Unless, of course, it's the ones that were faked that he never said. So, to this article, nope, we actually do want to talk about it. It's the liberals who don't want to talk about it. And to put things in perspective, look at the quote by Ronald Reagan where he called the Taliban the moral equivalent of the founding father.